Hello everybody, this is your Midwest severe weather update. This would be valid for July 9th until July 10th. Here's the overall severe weather threat probabilities for the whole Midwest. Our overall threat is at a 3 out of 5. Our tornado threat is at a 2 out of 5. Our damaging wind threat is at a 3 out of 5. And our hail threat a 3 out of 5. So basically what that means, having your overall severe weather threat at a 3 out of 5 means regional severe weather outbreaks possible. It also means that potential for significant and long-lived severe weather is possible. Having your tornado threat at 2 means your tornado threat can be somewhat conditional. In this situation, it's not really conditional, but usually it means a few tornadoes are possible, along with potentially a stronger one, but that's usually more of a conditional threat. Your damaging wind threat being at a level 3, that means that the threat for numerous to potentially widespread damaging wind gusts exists, with some of them being significant. Your hail threat being at 3 again means that you're going to have numerous to potentially widespread large hailstones across the area, with some being very large. Now on to Illinois. Illinois, your overall severe threat is at a 2, and that's pretty much with everything, including tornadoes, hail, and damaging winds. They're all at a 2. And what this means is that you're going to see scattered severe weather across the area, with a few tornadoes being possible, scattered damaging wind gusts being possible, maybe the potential for an isolated significant one or two, large hail being possible, with scattered large hail being possible, with potentially a very large hailstone or two. And yeah. Now, some of this can be a little bit conditional as well. Now, here's probabilities explained. If you want to stop here, you can pause and look at this section. Probabilities explained again. Again, you can stop here and look at this section. And then again, you can stop here and look at this section. Here is your unofficial severe weather graphic. So, we have our team has put out a marginal risk for portions of North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Illinois, maybe just a tiny bit of Wisconsin, Indiana, and Ohio. A slight, including Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa. An enhanced, including Missouri, portions of Missouri, I should say portions of Missouri, Nebraska, Iowa, and Kansas. Some bigger cities in the enhanced risk would be Des Moines, Iowa, Omaha, Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska. Bigger cities in the slight risk: St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Jefferson City, Missouri, and Topeka, Kansas. Here's your highest tornado risk. So the highest tornado risk is looking to be in portions of Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, tiny bit of Indiana, and portions of Kansas. It seems like the highest risk in there then is more of Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri. This is where the most likely area for a few tornadoes will exist. Here is the highest risk for large hail. This is the highest risk for large hail. Some of it being very large in this area, very well possible. Some areas in here include southern South Dakota, western Iowa, northwestern Missouri, northeastern Kansas, and a good chunk of Nebraska. Damaging wind outlook. This is where damaging wind gusts look the most likely. This is going to include a majority of southeastern Nebraska, southern central Iowa, northern and eastern Kansas, all of Missouri, southern half of Illinois, and southwestern Indiana. This is where significant damaging wind gusts are possible, along with the highest chance for damaging wind gusts overall. Here's a discussion I wrote up. A risk for severe weather exists Friday and Saturday across portions of the Midwest, including the potential for all severe weather hazards. Friday morning, the potential for a couple severe storms do exist across portions of the Dakotas, mainly with damaging wind gusts and small hail as the threat. Later that afternoon, high instability will start to build across portions of Iowa, Missouri, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, and Kansas as a trough comes in from the high plains. Deep layer shear across the area is forecasted to be 50 to 70 knots, which is more than enough to give long-lived, intense thunderstorms. A few tornadoes will be possible in the evening hours due to a low level jet of 25 to 35 knots. Storms will initially be supercells, which would also favor that tornado slash and very large hail threat. Once storms go into a line, a couple brief tornadoes, significant damaging wind gusts, and isolated large hail would be possible. This line could be rather long-lived and go all the way into portions of Illinois, Indiana, and eastern Iowa Saturday morning. Saturday, the system moves eastward with again all hazards on the table. Deep layer shear still looks to be 50 to 70 knots as well. This time, computer models show a stronger low-level jet. Sorry for that disruption there, but continuing here. This time, some of the computer models show a stronger low-level jet. If this does come to fruition, significant severe weather will again be present on Saturday, but as of now, it looks like more of a conditional and scattered in nature risks do exist. Still, a large hail, a few tornadoes, and potentially significant damaging wind gusts will exist. So Saturday is looking more like the trough could continue and really make the risk really big, which a couple of models do suggest that. Well, some of the others suggest it just to fizzle out. So let's get into the weather models. Now, this is going to be a bit shorter because this is more of a Midwest update. But we're just going to get into the weather models here. I'm kind of just going to show you around a little bit here and kind of show you what could end up coming into fruition here. So, let's take a look at, Saturday evening. We're going to look at the wrap model because that is came into fruition, one of my favorite models to look at. So here's Saturday evening. So here's deep layer shear. This is 0 to 6 kilometer shear. This is your, it goes from the lower to the middle levels. This is going to detect, how much wind shear there is available. So anywhere in these purple colors right in here, these areas could be seeing 50 knots or higher. And that's generally favorable for severe weather. Now, some of those darker blues and lighter pinks could be favorable as well. Those reds, this is where there's extremely strong shear. That would be 70 plus knots. So it seems like there's a lot of good favorable ingredients. Your dew points across the area will also be in a decent kind of shape and form. Looks like you're gonna have dew points across these areas from the mid 60s to the mid 70s. Your surface-based cape, this is a ingredient of instability, and you have over 4,000 joules per kilogram in Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, and Kansas, with widespread 2,000 to 1,000. Your storm relativity, this is going to be a kind of a lower level wind component, and it's pretty high across portions of Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois. That's going to favor more of a, that's going to be where your tornado threat is. Your middle level lapse rates, those are going to favor how much of a hail threat there is, and there's a lot of a good hail threat with these amount of lapse rates right here. We're gonna look at a composite. You don't really want to look at the values, you just want to look at the area. So the area with this composite is more or less in here. We do see it has some pretty high values. We're not going to really look at those and take those into fruition, but that's the area you really need to monitor. It'll shift east with the next day as well. And we'll take a sounding or two across the area. Well, actually, we should probably look at the precipitation. Seems like there is some precipitation that forms, so like a sounding there in northern Missouri here. So this would be favorable for pretty much all hazards. There is some capping inversion, which limits the storm sometimes, so we'll have to watch that. But we're going to move on to the next day. Now, the next day could be pretty significant. We're going to look in the weather models like we've already talked about here. Looking at the next day, we have a surface low poised over portions of Missouri that pushes eastward and leaves a trailing line of storms to form off of it. Looking right south of that surface low there, taking a sounding, small box sounding. We do have, wind profiles do end up backing around here, which means it kind of overlaps itself. But there's a lot of wind shear at stake and a lot of high instability with this, and this is going to potentially give off a bigger severe threat. Now, the NAM is the only model that is really going in this big into it, but some of the other models are showing more, at least a severe threat. Most of them are showing that, but some of them are saying it's going to be an interesting threat. All others are not really saying it's going to be interesting, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens with the more short-range model guidance. But that'll do it for this one. That is your Midwest Severe Weather Update. for July 9th through the 10th.